Yeah,
Yes,
let me
yes,
give
yes.
you a good example of establishing digital library, whatever. At the end, we will
Please
come to
continue.
the
Please
conclusion.
continue. You're audible.
Yeah, it's audible now. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. So let me tell you, due to this some network problem, we're not able to maintain the. Okay. So now it is a virtual libraries. So virtual libraries spread everywhere, as I told you, accessible always, where individuals and groups as authors, publishers, and readers are linked across the global electronic network and related in different ways to document that are fast and easily obtainable, available in the full versions. So if you go to the National Digital Library portal, there you can access information or any resources whichever related to your requirement 24 into 7. Anytime you can download and make use of the resources. That is the best example I can give here for the virtual libraries. So the key characteristics of true virtual libraries are there is no corresponding physical collections. Documents will be available in electronic format only. Documents are not stored in any one location. So documents can be accessed from any workstations. Documents are retrieved and delivered as and when required. And effective search and browse facilities are available for the virtual libraries. There is no corresponding physical collections. You cannot go and access the collections. All your library collections will be in an electronic format. So, but let me tell you one thing that now we have faced a internet problem there. Whatever we are technological advance, we go at the end and we come to the traditional method only is the best we can say. But when you are accessing electronic formats, if the computer or your mobile networks, if it's not supported format is there, so you cannot read and you cannot get the information in time there. That is one of the barrier here. So if you do not have an internet connection or a required technological assistance for your gadgets, electronic these things, you cannot read and access the information in time. This is one of the bad and drawback of the virtual libraries and any kind of electronic formats you go. So there you will find some difficulties. So next comes the hybrid libraries. The hybrid library is a term that entered in a parallels of a library information profession recently. So it is stated that the term hybrid library was first coined in 1998 by Chris Rusbridge in an article published in the DLib magazine. So what exactly the hybrid library we call? Is a term used by librarians to describe libraries containing a mix of traditional print library resources and growing number of electronic resources. In other words, hybrid libraries are a mix of traditional print materials such as books and magazines as well as electronic resources, e-books, electronic journals, etc. The challenge associated with the management of hybrid libraries is to encourage and end users resource discovery and information use in a variety of formats and from a number of local remote sources is seamlessly integrated way. So this is about types of libraries we have studied: national library, public library, academic library, digital library, virtual libraries, now hybrid libraries. You can see all this uh, uh, information in your study materials. If you do not have, I will send a link later. So next comes the third unit, information institutions. So after
Sir,
sir,
sir, I have a small question for you, sir.
yeah, please.
Could you please clarify a little better that what is the primarily what is the difference between any digital library or virtual library? Like
Yeah,
from
in
this.
digital library, in a digital library, so you have a separate in a physical library only. So you have a separate digital library setup in a existing library. So there you can have a you can go to the library, you have separate access to the electronics resources available and stored, collected by that library. Okay, in virtual libraries, so it is somewhere the collection was built up and uploaded, and you can access anywhere. You need not go to the library and get the information in the library itself. So sitting in your home, or it's from your laptop or any other mobile and other cell phones, you can access the information. You can use the virtual lab just by logging to the virtual libraries. For example, National Digital Library is there, Asian Association for the Online Resources, IOGS, any kind of journals you can access anytime, anywhere, any time. So this is a virtual library. So whereas a digital library, you go to the library, whatever the information and electronic formats that is uploaded and available in the library or in the from the internet, you have to access. So in the digital book, that is a separate setup. So this is the difference between.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Next comes, after setting up a library in a society, we have a variety. We have studied the different types of libraries and their function modes. So now after this, the information institutes evolved in the society, existed in the society. So there is a growing demand has been increased among the readers. So in the early days, the library concept started for only public library, the concept. Then it has from the academics, libraries, research institutions. And after that, there are some institutions working towards the information needs of the individuals or in a group or in a society. So number of information institutes are also existed. Let me start with the information institution, evolution of information institution. In the literature of library information science, we do not come across studies exclusively devoted to the evolution, development, and organizational structure of these kinds of information institutions. However, we examine the institutions that have come up during the 20th century, especially in the latter part. We can find a typical pattern in their growth. However, this pattern could perceived only in the industrial advanced countries of the Western. So as the industrial development has taken into place, there are some, as I told you, special libraries I can take you. With that intention only for the their need and their requirement of the information, they have set up their own kind of library, and they have started, there are some institutions started in the Western countries giving such information to the particular industry or particular person or particular groups. So there are many like this. I can give an example next. So as it happens, their influence extended to the third world countries also. The result may third world countries have accepted the Western model in designing and developing their own institutions. So CSIR is there, sir, for example. So we have a separate setup of institutions which is giving agriculture needs only. So in Pusa campus, they have their own setup library and their own, there is a separate institution which is giving only information related to the agriculture needs of the scientists. So the report entitled into the information is a perspective of a federal action on information prepared by author D. Light describes the development of information institution in the USA. In doing so, the report identifies three basic models of information transfer. The first one is knowledge creating institutions. So under this category comes research laboratories, R&D institutions, institutions of higher education and research centers attached to the universities. The second one is knowledge information processing, the dimensions institutions such as the publishers of books and journals, statistical data organizations, science and technology data centers, and so etc. And third comes institutions that collect, stores, process, disseminate, and service knowledge information recorded in various forms, such as a library. To take example for informatics center is there, which is giving a particular database analysis and database service to the required persons of the societies. Okay. So the growth, if you look into the growth pattern of these institutions, with above three modes of considers are the discipline-oriented information transfer corresponding to the value system of a pure science, academic and basic research called era 1.
Unmute ಮಾಡಿ please. Mute ಇದೆ. ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಇದೆ, ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಇದೆ. ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಇದೆ, ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ.
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ?
ಈಗ ಜಸ್ಟ್ now it is unmute. Okay. Please carry on.
So there are types of information centers, libraries, documentation centers, information analysis centers, and data centers. Okay. So if you come to the Indian scenario situation, here we have ISRO and BHEL Bharat Heavy Electronics Limited, Indian Institute of Science, CSIR, and ETC, etc. They have set up their own information institutions, which is providing information to their own researchers, their own readers for their specialized information, which is helpful to their organizations, Indian Space Research Organization. There you will find only information related to the space and research organizations. So which is meant, and there are variant procedures are taking from the librarians. They are giving information in the systematic manner to the scientists. They analyze the information, they give the abstract, indexing, everything, pin to pin information in time and accurate time they are supplying to the scientist. There are many other institutions you can study in your these books. So the last unit for laws of library science, a very important chapter. So by studying the laws of library science given by the doctor, the father of library science, now Dr. S.R. Ranganathan, Shyali Ramamurthan Ranganathan, who was a professor in mathematics in Madras University, who is the main pioneer, who is the main founder of a library science course in the country. So he gave this laws of library science, which are very important. So throughout your service or throughout your library management and study, so you can go through this these bylaws is very important. So here you will find all the library science in one course system. So Ranganathan bylaws provide a paradigm of how libraries function, how they grow and serve, how they live, and so provide for us framework through which examine our professional lives and our libraries. Hence, the need for the unit is here. After reading this unit, you will able to explain the characteristics of laws in general and identify them. Ranganathan five laws. So here the nature of work in the library and documentation, information services, in tune with the guiding principles governed by these five laws we'll study in this course. So one of the most significant contribution of Dr. S. R. Ranganathan to the field of library and information science has been initiation of his five laws. These laws were first stated in their formal exposition was provided by the author at the provisional educational conference held at Chidambaram, Tamil Nadu in 1928 December. So it must be noted that the five laws of library science, five laws are a first step towards the putting library work on a scientific basis. Very important. On a scientific basis, it is giving you the framework of the library, providing general principles from which all library practices could be directed. So every activity relating to the library services has a rationale in one or another of these laws or in all of them collectively. At this juncture, it is necessary to emphasize that merely stating the five laws or even the understanding the words will not automatically lead to enlightenment about the functions of the libraries. Although the laws are simple statements, they demand contemplation and experience, therefore richness and import of their meaning will be revealed.